What do you think, Bob?
Not much, I have a real job. I think you got a pretty packed agenda.
Yeah. Won't see Matt Stafford, but
Oh, don't worry about it, we'll talk some other time.
Yeah, make it quick right after.
Yeah, we can do that,
Sure,
sure.
not just to find the time.
that'd be
she's
fine.
been
Yeah,
struggling. I mean, it
wasn't a
wiped
big
her
deal.
out for about. She's
If I had
Doing
scrolled
better
up, I
now.
would have found it.
of course she had
Problem.
like you did, but she just it was sick 3 days.
Well, how you been?
She's still
Good.
Which is
That ain't saying much. How long were you down?
well, it took a lot of more time too.
8 to 10 days. You know, I just.
Yeah, she's got kind of that same stuff.
Regular meeting in Clear Lake City Council of Monday, November 15, 2021 shall come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Seconded by Mike that we approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. By the way, Councilman Ebling is on the phone tonight. To the consent agenda. A, minutes, November 1st, 2021, and you have a copy of those. We need approval of the bills and claims, of which you also have a copy. We have the following resolutions. Resolution 2156, a resolution authorizing internal advance for funding of urban renewal project, and that's the 400 block Main Avenue Alley Improvement Projects. We have D, Resolution 2157, a resolution authorizing internal advance for the funding of urban renewal project, and that's the seawall rehabilitation project. E, Resolution 2158, this is a resolution authorizing internal advance for the funding of urban renewal project. This is the 600 block of Buddy Holly Place Alley project. And F, Resolution 2159, this is a resolution authorizing internal advance for the funding of urban renewal project, and this is East Main Avenue Street reconstruction project. G, licenses and permits, we have the following: fireworks permit, Clear Lake Chamber, Christmas by the Lake, December 4th. Street closing request, Clear Lake Chamber, Christmas by the Lake, December 4th, and Clear Lake J.C.'s Polar Bear Plunge, December 5th. Motion, please.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded, Gary and Mike, that we approve the consent agenda. Because of the resolutions, we'll do a roll call. Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
And Dana?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, and the consent agenda is passed and the resolutions are duly adopted. Number 4, now is the time and place for any citizen in the audience who wishes to address the council on any issue or concern. Please approach the podium, state your name first and last, and give your address so the clerk can properly enter the minutes. This is not a discussion time, nor a question and answer time, and you have 3 to 5 minutes. Welcome.
To talk?
But yes, certainly.
My name is Becky Wilder, lifetime resident of Clear Lake. I reside now on South 3rd Street, and I'm here to my concerns about you guys closing the 900 block alley down. With one resident has closed that down. I have called and talked to Jeremy Korenberg about the situation. He had told me that Mike Ritter had informed him that that was okay, but I don't know how you can close down, one resident can close down a city alley access. The only way he has access to his property is through public streets on 9th Avenue and 10th Avenue. And that alley is used tremendously because there's no sidewalk on South Shore. On the east side, there's no sidewalk. So that alley is used a lot for those kids and everybody to walk down that alley because you can't be on South Shore. There's no sidewalk on that east side. There's just on the outing club side. And that's my biggest concern. Now they've shut it down completely. Now they have used the city police that if you trespass on there, you will get charged with trespassing. Again, I don't know why our city police are getting involved in that situation. That's my biggest concern. Like I said, I've been a lifetime resident of this town. I was a little girl who sold vegetables from my grandpa. I was a little girl who sold the poppy seeds. I was the girl who waited on you in the grocery store. I was the girl who waited on you at the bakery. I was the girl who helps your kids at school. I've been a resident of this town, and it's sad to sit and watch how nobody seems to be caring for the future of this town. Thank you.
We thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak to the council tonight? Thank you. We'll move to 5 unfinished business, of which we have none. And we will move to 6A, Industrial Property Tax Exemption and Development Agreement, RCP Investments, LLC, 2809 Main Avenue. Review, Mr. Flory. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. Council will run through these items in the packet here with you. The first item in the packet, I believe they're the blue sheets. So the first blue sheet in your packet, that's a copy of a resolution that the council approved back at your meeting on September 20th. That set the date for a public hearing on the RCP investment project for Monday, October 4th. And we had that hearing, of course. The backside of that is a notice of the public hearing that was published in the newspaper. And the next sheets, blue sheets, again, continue on. That's the ordinance that provides for the pre-approval of a 5-year partial property tax exemption for the project. And then the pink sheets after that are a resolution authorizing a development agreement with RCP Investment LLC and authorizing an internal advance for funding for economic development grant thereunder. And then the yellow sheets are the actual development agreement with RCP. So just in the way of some background on this, and then we can cover those items a little further if we need to. Back at your meeting on September 20th, the council had approved a letter of intent. As I mentioned, again, that set the date for a public hearing on this matter for October 4th. The council set that date, had that public hearing. We published notice in the newspaper as required by law. Again, that's on the proposal to grant an industrial property tax exemption to RCP Investment. RCP is currently engaged in implementation of activities related to the repurposing of the former 5-star cooperative property from a dry goods warehouse to a dry goods warehouse and distribution center. Of course, the letter of intent outlined various incentives that the city would provide for the developer on this project, including participation in a regional stormwater improvement project, partial property tax exemption, and then participation in professional services on a reimbursement basis. The project for the renovation and repurposing, again, the 5-store cooperative building is located at 2809 Main Avenue. Many of you recall that was a grain storage building. As I mentioned, again, they're converting that to a dry goods warehouse with loading docks constructed for moving of goods. The building itself is 154,000 square feet in size, was constructed back in 1982. For tax purposes, January 1, 2019, assessed improved value is $660,000. The anticipated value of the improvements after that should be not less than $1.5 million on top of that, so a nice healthy increase in valuation as a result of these improvements. Following completion of the improvements, the warehouse is going to be occupied under the terms of a lease agreement with Greenlee Corrugated Solutions. They're located in Jessup, Iowa. They'll employ, again, 6 to 10 people on a first shift. Then there's opportunities for future shifts, so they could have 2 shifts located there. Again, they have essentially provide corrugated packaging solutions for typically larger scale corporations. As I mentioned, the notice of the hearing was published in the newspaper. That was done on September 22nd. By law, this is the one you'll remember we can't take any action until 30 days after the date of the public hearing. So we had the public hearing on October 4th. So as soon as we could act on it would be then at the meeting, the second meeting in November, which is where we're at tonight, to achieve that 30-day period following the hearing. The county assessor, as I mentioned previously, does have final determination on whether the project qualifies for the exemption, but it certainly meets all of those requirements that are laid out in 427B, so no reason that it wouldn't qualify. And again, we've done 3 or 4 of these in the past, so this kind of follows the same suit. Schedule of exemption is a 5-year declining schedule, so this is the 75, 60, 45, 30, and 15 schedule. And then lastly, I'd note that the ordinance is prepared under the assumption that the council would hold all 3 readings this evening and finally adopt the ordinance here at your November 15th meeting. And then the clerk would file a copy of the ordinance with the county assessor prior to December 1st. So I don't know if anyone has any questions on any of those items. I'd be happy to go over them if you do. I know we've covered this, seems like about 5 or 6 times, so it takes a long time to get here on some of these things procedurally.
Council, any questions for Scott? Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just add, I think it's a really great project. The investors have done a really nice job there. It's nice to see the improvements made there. It was previously, I'm sure you're well aware, it was kind of it had fallen into a little bit of blighted condition. And, I applaud the developers for having the foresight and vision to buy the property, make the investments that they've done. And now with the lease agreement with Greenlee Corrugated Solutions, I think creating the tax base and the job opportunities there, I think it's just a really good quality project for the community, and just shows that not always do things have to be built brand new. Sometimes there are redevelopment opportunities out there, and if you're aggressive and motivated enough, you can make these kind of projects happen. So.
Ideally located, also right on I-35 and,
Yep.
North and south for the corrugated cardboard boxes as well. And then you take the 154,000 square foot building, it's assessed now at what, 600,
Yep.
660?
Mm-hmm.
And, when all's said and done, it's up about 1.5.
That's the increment that'll be out, so it'll be north of 2 million in terms of valuation. So it's like 660 now. So they're going to add not less than 1.5 million. So it'll be the total value be over 2 million, but I expect it's actually going to be higher than that even. So I think the 1.5 added value is kind of a conservative figure. So and I know that Greenlee wants to make some additional improvements to the property beyond what's described in the lease that they have with RCP. So it's just really a good project.
It's another partnership here again.
Oh, very
that we're
much,
doing, and well done. Any other comments, council? Questions?
Well, they're taking a non-productive area and making it very productive now. And
Yep.
with a potential of 20 to 25 employees, that's fantastic.
Thank you, Scott. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 862, an ordinance providing for the pre-approval of a 5-year partial property tax exemption pursuant to Chapter 427B of the Code of Iowa for the RCP Investments LLC Industrial Development Warehouse and Distribution Center project located on 2809 Main Avenue. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Gary, that we approve the ordinance number 862 on the first reading. Is there any discussion? Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And Mark? Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Resolution ordinance number 862 is adopted on the first reading. And now, entertain a motion pursuant to Section 380.3 of the Code of Iowa to place ordinance number 862 on the third and final reading this evening. Motion, please.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Dana, that we approve the Section 380 of the Code of Iowa to place ordinance 862 on the third and final reading. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. And now we'll go to the third and final reading of ordinance number 862, an ordinance providing for the pre-approval of a 5-year partial property tax exemption pursuant to Chapter 427B of the Code of Iowa for the RCP Investments LLC Industrial Development Warehouse and Distribution Center project located at 2809 Main Avenue. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Mike, that we approve ordinance number 862 on the third and final reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Gary?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Mark? Yes. And Mike?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. And ordinance number 862 is duly adopted on the third and final reading. And now I'll need a motion to approve Resolution 2160. This is authorizing the development agreement with RCP Investment LLC and authorizing internal advance for funding of economic development grant thereunder.
So moved.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Bennett, that we approve Resolution 2160. Is there any discussion? Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Mark? Mike?
Yes.
And Gary?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2160 is duly adopted. Thank you. 6B, adoption of new precinct and ward boundaries following the state redistricting review. Mr. Flory.
This is where it gets really exciting. So, let me introduce Adam Wedmore, who's the county auditor. I'm sure everyone knows Adam, and I appreciate his helping us along with this. So I'm going to give some review, and then I'll invite Adam to come up, and he'll also have a few comments. And of course, Jennifer has also worked with us on this. So in the packet, the first white sheet in your packet as a kind of a summary of the changes of the proposed wards that we're going to talk about. The next sheet there on the back side of that one is the current Clear Lake wards that are laid out. The next sheet is the proposed change. Same for the sheet after that. Then there's a next page is a population summary, so it identifies the change in population and where that's broken down in terms of each ward. And I'll go over that here in just a moment as well. So just in terms of some background information on this, of course, the U.S. Constitution requires a census be taken every 10 years. And so, of course, we're just coming out of that. The 2020 census experienced delays, of course, as a result of COVID. And the state of Iowa didn't receive the census numbers until September of this year, and usually that happens quite a bit earlier than that. So now the council has to fulfill its responsibilities of drawing the new wards and precincts within the city. After the state of Iowa and the cities and counties in Iowa receive their census numbers, the Code of Iowa requires that new census data be used by the legislature to redistrict the state. And you've been hearing quite a bit about that, obviously, in the news. And state redistricting is done to draw new lines defining U.S. congressional districts and the Iowa House and Iowa Senate legislative districts. After the legislature has finalized its work, which they have now done, counties and cities in Iowa must draw new lines for its wards and precincts using the one person, one vote. Same thing holds true for the wards and the council members that represent those wards. So, under Iowa law, the legislature and governor have approved their state redistricting. Cities then have 60 days to create the new wards and precincts, and that process, again, is called the re-precincting process here in Iowa. For the city of Clear Lake, this will take the form of an ordinance that defines these new wards and districts. The Iowa Code states that the new wards and precincts will become effective for the city on January 15th, 2 years after the decennial census. So, of course, that's January 15 of 2022. At the November 1st meeting, you'll recall the clerk and I had reviewed with the council a preliminary draft of the proposed new ward and precinct map that we reviewed with Adam and his staff, then presented to the council. and appreciate him and Sandy's help with that on that. Some communities are using the county auditor's office, others are tackling it on their own, but they're very, very helpful to us, so we appreciate that. And they use, of course, the software that's available to them to do that. So the council does have to hold a public hearing before final action is taken to adopt the new ward and precinct boundaries. And so I've drafted a public hearing notice, and that'll be published in the newspaper. And so tonight you'll act on setting the date for that public hearing. And we are anticipating then that will be at a special council meeting on November 29th here at 8:30 a.m. in the chambers. And again, you'll set that by motion. But if I just go again through some of the items here in the packet, again, the summary of the changes. So if we look at the 2010 census ward population, you can see our population was even 7,777, so we've lost about 90 people, so we're down to 7,687. And you see the population breakdown per ward based on the 2010 census. So in Ward 1 for 2010, you had 2531, Ward 2, 2777, Ward 3, 2379. So for 2020, and of course there's requirements that we have to follow in various margins that we have to pay attention to, that we can't have too many in one ward versus the other, and that's so we kind of following the census blocks. This is how it would look for the 2020 ward population with the changes. So Ward 1 would stay the same at 2531. The changes again are in Ward 2 and 3. Population-wise and geography-wise. So Ward 2 would then represent 2,367 people, so a bit of a reduction, about 410 less people than were represented in Ward 2 versus the 2010 census. Ward 3 would pick up that number, so they'd be up to, Ward 3 would be up to 2,789. So. And then again on that white sheet is just a summary of the proposed changes. Again, the proposed new boundary for, again, only impacts Ward 2 and 3. The proposed new boundary for Ward 3 basically moves the western boundary from 10th Street 2 blocks to the west. So the new boundary be along 8th Street. And then that begins at the corner of 10th Avenue North and North 8th Street, then travels south on 8th Street till it reaches 4th Avenue South and then heads east. So again, if you look at the next sheet, again, that's the way the current wards are set up. You can kind of see that bottom little bump out there. Basically what we're doing is taking that line, pushing it over from 10th over to 8th and just squaring that up, which you see on the next sheet, which is the proposed ward. So again, just run straight north to south there on 8th Street. And again, as I mentioned, the population changes are itemized here on that next sheet. You can see again for the 3 wards where they're at in terms of the population. So. Anything further in terms of any more background? As I mentioned, Adam's also going to talk a little bit about what we're doing here and what the county's doing as well as kind of the process. But again, the action item for us tonight would be to set the date for the public hearing for the special meeting on November 29th. And then we'll hold the public hearing on the 29th and take the action. As we mentioned, try to have this all done prior to 60 days, but we'll very likely we could have all 3 readings at the special meeting of the council on the 29th on that ordinance, or we could have 1 reading and have 2 more on the 6th and wrap it up on the 6th and then be done with it, pretty well in advance of the January 15th deadline. But I think, again, the county and like all counties would encourage probably all the cities to have it done as soon as they possibly can. So there's probably not much reason not to have all 3 readings on the 29th, but it's up to your discretion. So that's just kind of a preview ahead to the special meeting on the 29th, where you'll consider that ordinance to establish the wards and the precincts. So again, once every 10 years like clockwork.
Interesting with regard to that census and how it turned out, but.
Yeah, and really, I think that's kind of a collateral discussion, but I think only being down 90 people is, that's not bad. It's more than holding our own, I think. We have a large number of people that declare their residency elsewhere. So, I mean, I think, again, I was describing this the other day at a different meeting, but I think for a town of, now 7,600 people in some, there's a lot that goes on here. I've been to a lot of towns that are 7,600 people, and this does not remind you of those towns.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't feel like we lost population here.
no,
It just doesn't seem right to
No,
me,
it
but
does
that's,
not, no.
yeah.
Which brings out the point of, how we have to have a lot of flexibility, shall we say, within our safety department and our public works and our water people and the whole thing. I mean, when you see the influx of people, and thank goodness for that, but during the summertime, it's a different community, and we have to react accordingly.
Yeah, and I think back to your point about the number of housing starts and housing opportunities, it's really, it's antithetical logic, in my opinion, that we would be down any at all. I mean, again, I agree with you. I think if we were to count probably all the people that live here, even part of the year, those numbers would be a lot higher. It just doesn't jive with really a community that has as many housing subdivisions going on as we do, and the new housing starts that we have. There's a lot going on.
Any other comments, Council? Thank you, Scott. For entertain a motion to set the date for a public hearing on the proposed new precincts and wards for the City of Clear Lake for November 29th of 2021 at 8:30 a.m. right here in the council chambers at Clear Lake City Hall, and authorizing city clerk to publish notice on November 17th, 2022 in the Clear Lake Mirror Reporter.
So offered.
Second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Gary, that we approve the motion to set the public hearing on the new precinct and ward boundaries on November 29th, right here, 8:30 in the chamber. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same. Motion carries. C, Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area Expansion and Urban Renewal Area Plan Amendment of November 2021. Review, Mr. Flory.
Thanks again, Mayor. Council will run through the items here in the packet. There's a first tan sheet in your packet is a resolution to declare necessity and establish an urban renewal area pursuant to Section 403.4 of the code, and also to approve an urban renewal plan amendment for the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area. The next document is an orange sheet, and that's an ordinance that we generally kind of refer to as a TIF ordinance, and that is for the RCP addition to the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area. The sheets after that are another yellow colored sheet, and that is again another TIF ordinance, and that is for the Embry addition to the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area, and that's of course for the Hy-Vee grocery store project. And then the blue sheets that follow that are a resolution setting the date for a public hearing on a development agreement with Embry Development for that Hy-Vee grocery store project. And the last sheet, no, I guess that is the final sheet. So just kind of walk through some of those. This is a lot of information here in your packet, so just kind of bear with me if you will. But back at your meeting on October 18th, you had set the date for a public hearing on the proposal to expand the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area and on an amendment to the urban renewal plan itself. So I know we've talked about this for, seems like 4 or 5 meetings also, but again, so there's two things at play here. One is to expand the geography of the area. If you recall, several meetings ago, we deleted some geography. Well, we're adding some new geography back into the plans. As I say, one is for the RCP investment project, and then another is for the Embry development project, which is the Hy-Vee. So these two ordinances deal with adding those areas in. And then we also have an amendment to the plan to add that geography into the plan, and then we have the plan amendment itself for adding additional projects into the urban renewal plan. So there's two separate things that are included in that. So we did publish notice of tonight's public hearing in the Mirror Reporter. That was done on October 20th. If you recall, also we had previously set the date to submit this to the Planning and Zoning Commission for their review and recommendation as required by law. And also, we set the date for the consultation meeting that's also required by law. So the Planning and Zoning Commission met on October 26th, and they are forwarding their recommendation to council approve the plan amendment as proposed. And again, also the consultation meeting, we had that with Saragordo County and Clear Lake Community School District on October 29th. After conducting the public hearing, the council then considers the resolution to approve the expanded consolidated urban renewal area and plan. Additionally, the council will consider adoption of the tax increment district ordinance, as I mentioned, for both the RCP investment area as well as the Embry development area. The council considers these tax increment districts. Typically what we do here is we're facilitating and supporting, encouraging public and private development through various incentives that we offer. So in order to be able to do that, they have to be identified within our urban renewal plan. So that's the process of amending the plan to incorporate these different projects and things into the plan. And also to expand the TIF areas to include the RCP TIF area and the Embry TIF area. So I would also note that the ordinances for both those TIF districts are prepared on the assumption, again, that they'll be finally adopted this evening so that we can certify those into the county auditor by December 1st of this year. So I don't have anything further. I know we've talked about those several meetings, but be happy to answer any questions on it. There's a lot of stuff there, and you know, it's kind of a lot of administrative items, but you know, again, kind of starting out back when we first did a letter of intent with Embry for this project and a letter of intent with RCP Investments for their project, and ultimately culminating to tonight's public hearing on all of those. And you know, we're still not completely done because we'll have at the December 6th meeting the hearing on the development agreement with Embry. So it's a long, long process.
Council, any questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott. Now is the time and place for the public hearing with regard to the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area Expansion and Urban Renewal Plan Amendment, November 2021. If there's anyone in the audience that wishes to address the council on that particular renewal expansion and renewal plan amendment, please approach the podium, state your name, excuse me, first and last, and give your address so that the clerk can properly enter in the minutes. Not a discussion time nor a question and answer time, but an opportunity for you to address that particular expansion and amendment. Sure. Welcome.
Once again, Becky Wilder. On this urban thing, I have yet to kind of understand, because I thought the reason that they did the Quick Star where the Dairy Queen was to be more for us local people, and the Quick Star was to be more for off of the interstate. But now you're going to put a Hy-Vee with a gas station and everything right next to the Quick Star. If you look around this town, we have no green left whatsoever. You have developed every single space, and there's no green left whatsoever. We've cut down a big evergreen tree that put oxygen into our town to put up a Freedom Rock. I don't understand why there's nobody looking out for the interest and future of our town. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to the council? Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Dana, that we close the public hearing with regard to the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area Expansion, Urban Renewal Area Plan Amendment. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. And now I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2161, a resolution to declare necessity and establish an urban renewal area pursuant to Section 403.4 of the Code of Iowa, and approve urban renewal plan amendment for the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Mike, that we approve Resolution 2161. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Dana?
Yes.
Mark? Yes. Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Bennett?
Yes.
Motion carries. 5-0, and Resolution 2161 is duly adopted. And now to ordinance number 863. This is an ordinance providing for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the November 2021 RCP addition to the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area pursuant to Section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Dana, that we approve ordinance number 863. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
And Dana?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, and that's on the first reading of ordinance 863. And I'll entertain a motion pursuant to section 380.3 of the Code of Iowa to place ordinance number 863 on the third and final reading this evening. Entertain a motion to approve that.
So offered. Second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Bennett, that we approve the motion with regard to section 380.3 of the Code of Iowa. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. And now, with regard to the third reading of ordinance number 863, this is an ordinance, once again, providing for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the November 2021 RCP addition to the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area pursuant to section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Gary, that we approve ordinance number 863 on the third and final reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
And Mark?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, and ordinance 863 is adopted on the third and final reading. And now a motion to approve ordinance number 864. This is an ordinance providing for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in November 2021 Embry addition to the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area pursuant to section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Gary, that we approve ordinance number 864 on the first reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Gary?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, and ordinance 864 is passed on the first reading. And now, I entertain a motion pursuant to section 380.3 of the Code of Iowa to place ordinance number 864 on the third and final reading this evening. I'll entertain a motion, please.
So offered.
Second.
It's been moved by Mike, seconded by Dana, that we approve the motion pursuant to section 380.3. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. And now that sends us directly to approve ordinance number 864 on the third and final reading. And once again, an ordinance providing for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the November 2021 Embry addition to the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area pursuant to section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Gary, that we approve ordinance number 864 on the third and final reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Gary?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, and ordinance number 864 is duly adopted. And now I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2162. This is a resolution setting a date of a meeting at which it is proposed to approve a development agreement with the Embry Incorporated, including annual appropriation tax increment payments. Do we have a date on that, Mr. Flory, or is that
December 6th.
December 6th of 2021? And that date is December 6th of 2021. And that includes the annual appropriation tax increment payments. Motion, please.
Second.
Who do we have?
Dana and Mike.
Dana and Mike. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Dana?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Bennett?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2162 is duly adopted. 6D, Annual Appropriation Development Agreements Review. Mr. Schmidt, Director of Finance. Welcome, Creighton.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And these resolutions are located in the pink and golden rod paper. The city currently has various development agreements that contain annual appropriation clauses. In order to obligate funds for the 2023 fiscal year, the city must certify the projected debt estimate to the county auditor's office by December 1st of each year. These payments they come out of our tax increment fund, and they come directly from the taxes that each company pays itself. The first one is in the pink there. It's for agreement that the city signed back in February of 2014 with Windmill Realty, which was later assigned to McKesson Corporation in April of 2015. The city has estimated a property tax rebate payment in the amount of $540,000 for fiscal year 2023, and the final year of those payments will be 2032. And then the second one is in gold there, and that was from just last year, November 30th, 2020. The council approved an agreement for an extension of the property tax rebate to the North Iowa Cultural Center and Museum until June 1st, 2026. The agreement covers the Surf Ballroom and the Music Enrichment Center, and the estimate for that one is $16,000 for the same fiscal year 2023. And as a reminder, this year that we're in now, fiscal year 2022, is the final year for the Titan Pro agreement, and that last estimate was $112,000. And then lastly, just to note that for fiscal year 24, we'll start with the Marriott rebate and the Starboard Square projects as those wrap up. So 2024 for those two to start.
Council, any questions for Creighton? Thank you, Creighton. Therefore, entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2163, a resolution obligating funds from the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area Tax Fund for the appropriation of payment of annual appropriation tax increment finance obligations, which shall become due in the next succeeding fiscal year. And this is McKesson. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Gary, that we approve Resolution 2163. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Mark?
Yes.
Yes. Gary?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
And Dana?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, and Resolution 2163 is duly adopted. Now I entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2164, a resolution obligating funds from the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area Tax Fund for the appropriation of payment of annual appropriation tax increment financed obligations, which shall become due in the next succeeding fiscal year. And this is for the North Iowa Cultural Center and Museum. Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Mike, that we approve Resolution 2164. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And Mark? Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2164 is duly adopted. 6E, Annual Urban Renewal Tax Increment Finance Report, Fiscal Year 21. Review, Mr. Schmidt. Welcome again, Creighton.
The TIF report and a summary is located on the purple sheet, just right behind those last two that we were on. So the state of Iowa requires cities to report their tax increment financing activity every year using the online system. Those reports are due on December 1st of each year. The purpose is to provide information to the Department of Management on all activities that the city takes place in using that tax increment financing. For fiscal year 21, the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area had $2,591,000 in revenues and $2,623,000 in expenditures. That resulted in our TIF fund going from a beginning balance of $49,000 to an ending June 30th balance of just over $17,000. The total outstanding debt for our TIF fund is just over $11 million, and the prior year ended at $13,750,000. So in that, it's either funds like we had earlier that we're paying back to like the general fund or another fund within the city, but it also takes into account things like the annual appropriations for the remainder of the period that they have left. For new TIF eligible projects that we added, the Courtway Park development, City Beach, and that's one that we paid out of the general fund, so we're replenishing the general fund out of the TIF fund for that one. The Rocket development, North 32nd Street, Momberg development, and then we had a couple adjustments as well. But the report's all in there in purple, and that's all I have.
Council, any comments, questions for Creighton? Thank you very much, Creighton. Therefore, entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 Urban Renewal Tax Increment Financing Report just given by Mr. Schmidt.
So offered.
Second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Gary, that we approve the fiscal year 2021 Urban Renewal Tax Increment Financing Report. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. 6F, 2021 Storm Sewer and Water Improvement Project Update regarding construction and review of pay estimate number 1, Mr. Petersburg, V&K Engineering. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. NIST Excavation is the prime contractor on this project, and they began work on the 2021 Storm Sewer and Water Main Project on October 25th. You may recall the project is broke down into 4 different areas. Area 1 is 8th Avenue Court South, South 11th Street. Area 2 is North 12th Street, 1st Avenue North. Area 3 is North 16th Street. And Area 4 is North 20th Street and 1st Avenue North. Construction of the water main and services in Area 1 has been completed. The precast structures were delivered the end of last week. There was a delay in manufacturing on those, and they do plan to start on the storm sewer work down in Area 1 tomorrow. They plan to have all that work in that area completed by the end of next week. After they complete the Area 1, they are going to move to the water main work on North 16th Street, which is Area 3. So that'll be starting right around Thanksgiving, I'd say. And then after the water main is done there, they'll complete the storm sewer work in that area before winter shutdown. The other 2 areas, Area 2, which is North 12th Street, and Area 4, North 20th Street, that work is scheduled for the spring. And both those areas are just storm sewer work. There is no water main work there. So, pay estimate 1 in your packet. It's for the first couple weeks of work on the project. It includes the majority of the water main and water service work in Area 1. Net amount due to NIST Excavation for pay estimate number 1 is $77,308.63. Any questions on the pay estimate?
Council, any questions for Jason? Thank you, Jason. Therefore, entertain a motion to approve pay estimate number 1 with regard to the 2021 storm sewer and water main improvement project to NIS Excavating Mason City in the amount of $77,308.63.
So moved.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Bennett, is that right?
Dan.
Dana, that we approve the pay estimate to NIS Excavating. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same, motion carries. 6G, Director of Finance and Administrative Services position description and review, Mr. Flory.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The white sheets in your packet address this particular item's newly created position description, and I describe it as sort of an upfill. The mayor mentioned that he likes that term, but as opposed to a backfill on a position. So it's from the Director of Finance position. So a couple of communities kind of look at as kind of similar communities. One is Clive, one is Wayzata, and they both have this position. So I started looking at that, and it sounded like a perfect fit for us here. I identify strategically, I think, with the important leadership needs of the organizations and support staff to the mayor, the council, myself as well in this position. So position focuses on integration of various activities related to purchasing, human resources, finance, information technology, all kind of into one single source of contact. Positions designed to recognize expanded, and I think this is very important, expanded opportunities for growth and improvement within the organization and community, and work cross-departmentally in a collaborative manner. Position provides sound leadership and offers technical guidance to the city administrator and other department heads, supervisors, and employees on relevant issues. Reporting to the city administrator, the Director of Finance and Administrative Services would serve as acting city administrator in the absence of the city administrator. So that's the copy. There's about a 3-page job description there, but I think, again, it summarizes all the things that our current Director of Finance is doing, and then some, and it gives, I think, more appropriate description to the work that he's doing here within our organization and more broadly out into the community as well. So.
Any questions for Scott?
Yeah, I don't see in here where there's any physical requirements.
Physical requirements of mowing your yard and doing the scooping.
This person should be able to lift 100 pounds, shouldn't he?
Any other comments, questions? Council. Certainly, this is a very detailed,
Yep.
as far as job description and job function is
Yep.
concerned.
Yeah, and like I say, kind of borrowed a lot of that from Clive and Wayzata both. I think those are two very comparable communities, and this is kind of emulating their structure. So I think good models for us to look to. And like I say, again, I think it's very reflective of the capabilities of the person that we have currently in that office and the expanded opportunities for growth that we can realize there as well. So.
Thank you. For entertain a motion to approve Director of Finance and Administrative Services position description. Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Mike, that we approve the position description of Finance and Administrative Services. Is there a discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd just like to comment, just to echo what Scott said. I think we're very fortunate to have Creighton on our team, and I think it's very appropriate to build this kind of job description. So, again, I would just congratulate him, thank him. I think, again, we're very fortunate as a community to have him and to work with Scott and the rest of our team. So, very exciting. Thank you.
I just need a taster for his wife bringing in soup, make sure it's okay.
Okay, we do have the motion, correct?
Yes.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. 6H, Park Superintendent position description and appointment of Jim Jackson. Review, Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. Gary, I'm a little concerned if you, I don't know what you're going with the 100 pounds. I don't know if you can't, or if you think I can, but.
I noticed you got- This describes a lot of city.
Well, I'm standing up for this one. The next item in here is the job description for the parks superintendent. And this is really in alignment with our new recreation strategy. So as we've talked about, even in our last workshop and prior to that for months now, leading into the wellness center, and really that strategy of our recreation activities really moving under the direction of the wellness center. So as that happens, we also kind of split off what the parks department is doing. And so this position really replaces what used to be the Director of Parks and Rec title. So that title doesn't make sense, doesn't fit anymore into the general direction that we're going with recreation being under wellness and then parks being separate for that. So the summary here, the park superintendent manages the maintenance, repair, and construction work on all parks, sites, and facilities. So really, as we look towards taking recreation out of parks, that's really what their main focus is, the maintenance, repair, and construction work on all park sites and facilities. And the rest of this kind of outlines and goes with that summary. So the park superintendent is the department head of the parks department. And we also, along with this job description here, are recommending that Jim Jackson goes into this role. So Jim Jackson was previously the assistant director of Parks and Rec and has stepped up over the last few months, filling in as the interim department head in the Parks and Rec department, and will be an excellent fit for this parks superintendent position.
Questions, council?
Just add, for Gary's benefit, we do have the 70-pound, have to be able to carry, push, and pull 70 pounds in there, so we did get that one in there.
I think he's capable.
He's capable of it.
Unless you want to amend that up to 100.
Yeah.
That's for just the financial director.
Yeah, this jump in front of Mr. Callahan here, but this goes back, I believe, to pre-1970 when all we did have was a parks committee and department, period. There was nothing in summertime. We had the recreation, but that was it. Now we'll be going all year round. So thanks, great, appreciate that. Entertain a motion then to approve park superintendent position description and the appointment of Jim Jackson as the park superintendent. Is there any discussion? Oh, go ahead, go.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Gary, seconded by Dana, that we approve the park superintendent position description and appointment of Jim Jackson. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, just briefly, I just have the similar kinds of comments I made for Creighton. I think we've been very fortunate with Jim filling the role that he did, as Creighton mentioned, and I just think that the public needs to know, I think he's done a terrific job, and it's a important restructuring of the department as Creighton described, and really excited about this role for Jim. So my congratulations to him. Fully supported.
Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. Chief, report.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'll direct your attention to the blue sheet in the back of your packets that contains our October 2021 numbers. Also, just as a general report, over the next couple months or the next 30 days or so, we'll be completing the rest of our annual training for dispatch and officers. While the numbers kind of go down, we kind of focus on that training and make sure we get all of our requirements met by the law and by best practice.
I was going to mention, Chief, was that going on Sunday? Because I was in here Sunday. I thought I heard someone in here doing some training.
Yeah,
Okay.
they came in here and did some online training in here.
that's
It's
what I
kind of a
thought.
quiet place. So,
I
yep.
thought I heard him.
Also, kind of want to take this opportunity, since Adam is here, to thank the auditor's office. He has been very helpful. They have been very helpful with updating our maps, our fire districts, city boundaries, county maps for our dispatch and our officers. So I do thank you for all that. They've been very extremely helpful. And I think that's about it, unless there's any questions.
Chief, on October, under dispatch administrative calls, it's up a little more than the rest of them along. Was there?
I have no idea why that is. We do a lot of transfers, and it is kind of an anomaly. That's why that kind of spiked there. But I talked with Aaron about it, and I guess I don't know why. This is the first year we're able to kind of capture that data too, so it'll be a nice kind of test for us to see where that goes even next year. So if you notice, the calls do kind of stay around where they were last year. So October last year, we had 766 calls for service, so we're kind of in that same area. So. And I am sorry that you said that we're not going to have chili then at the Christmas by the Lake, Mayor.
Tongue here. Didn't have that. New officer?
We are still in the process of, we gave a conditional offer out, but we still have to hear back on some backgrounds, and the pre-employment physical and the academy is what our holdup is right now. So,
Any questions? Chief, council? Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Grade Public Work Director report. Mr. Kornberg, welcome, Jeremy.
Mayor, council, just a couple updates on a few projects going on. The 600 block Buddy Holly Place alley improvement project is completed. They finished up all the concrete approaches and sidewalk work last week, and have everything backfilled, graded, and buttoned up there. The other update is on the Whitaker Court Sanitary Sewer Extension Project. McInnes has a good portion of the sewer main in, and one of the manholes. They look to complete the sanitary main and the second manhole hopefully tomorrow, as well as finish up the services over the next couple days probably. They already have 4 of the 11 completed. And then if all weather, everything goes good, they're hoping to have everything kind of buttoned up by the end of the week, if not early next week, and be finished up. So the only other update I have is, as you can tell out there, the guys got all the pine roping and lights up for all our festivities. Got a couple flashing lights out there I see, so we'll have to replace some lights, but otherwise everything looks good. So unless you have any questions for me, that's all I got.
That is the Whitaker construction. Is that the road?
That is the
Fourth? Yeah.
just off North Lakeview
Yeah.
Drive and 4th Avenue. Yeah, the
What
sanitary.
is it, Fourth is cut? Is that?
Yeah, they cut into 4th, and
That's-
the manhole on 4th, that's closed right now. So they got the manhole set, the line put in. They still have to remove the old manhole, but the way things are going, they're hoping to have everything kind of buttoned up by late week or early next week, so.
Right. And we're ready for winter road maintenance?
Yeah, we've gone through all the trucks. We're going through a few other things that we've noticed as we've been moving them around. Other than that, yeah, looks like we're all set.
V-plow not arrived, or?
No, for the skid loader has not yet. We're looking, they said possibly early December, so it's got a few more weeks. The V-plow for the 1 ton that we approved, the plastic, is getting installed tomorrow. So without the one on the skid loader, we'll still be good. So.
Any questions for Jeremy? Other questions? Thanks, Jeremy. Under Mayor's report, Adam, I'm sorry, I jumped right over you. We certainly appreciate what you, but on the precincts here.
That's certainly fine. Not the first time I've been skipped, Mr. Mayor. So, really, I don't have much more to add. Staff did a great job explaining it. We met with Scott a couple of times, and as well as Jennifer as well. And several emails started, and very quickly, once the legislature finally approved the redistricting maps and the congressional maps, we were able to move forward. as we went over the population changes, it wasn't significant enough to call for any drastic changes. So what we worked with as far as maps is to try to have as little impact as possible. So the proposed new precinct boundaries would meet all the statutory requirements and still meet our threshold review as far as being convenient to the voter and efficient to run elections. So entertain any questions you have some larger maps that we have available we can leave here. If you or the public have any comments, you're welcome to take a look at that, and I guess entertain any questions that you have.
I might just mention, Adam, we had a discussion on the precinct, the voting places themselves, and it, you know, that sometime we might consider maybe an adjustment on those as well.
Absolutely. What we're working on right now that you'll take the lead on is establishing the precinct boundaries, not the polling locations. The polling locations can be adjusted any time. Precinct boundaries will be set for the next 10 years. There is several opportunities in the future if we determine that there's a better location to actually have that polling location at within those precincts, we certainly can. And that's a much easier process than the every 10-year re-precincting process. So certainly as you see the community grow and things change and different buildings become available for a more accessible, more centrally located polling location, we'll certainly take an opportunity to look at that.
Mike?
A related but somewhat unrelated question. What determines how many of your polling places you have to have open? For example, our recent election with just school board and city people on the ballot, especially with very few uncontested seats, didn't have a huge turnout.
Sure. So currently, Saragordo County has 26 precincts. That makes up the 12 in Mason City, the 3 in Clear Lake, and the rest in the rural areas. Our best practice and the practice set by the Secretary of State and as identified in code is to use all precincts for every election unless there's a reason not to. Last year with COVID, we had several different reasons why we had to combine polling locations. We reduced the number on a temporary basis through emergency directive that allowed us to do so. That was kind of a trial run to test different numbers and quantities of polling locations throughout the county. There's no set number as far as the minimum or maximum polling locations that we need to have as far as the precincts. It is based on population, and it's based on voter convenience as well as electoral efficiency. So we need to have as many precincts as possible and as needed to make sure the voters have an opportunity to travel as short a distance as possible to be convenient to vote. Is also at the same time running as few of polling locations to make it economical to the taxpayers that are funding the elections. So it's a fine line, it's a fine process that we look at. What we're proposing is to maintain the 3 wards, the 3 precincts for Clear Lake, which would, again, seem to satisfy all statutory requirements as well as the voter efficiency and electoral efficiency requirements as well.
Okay. Yeah, obviously in the years with state and national elections, there's usually a bigger turnout. And
Sure.
I just was curious as to what drove that. Thank you.
Difficulty this year getting workers?
We do have for the last couple of years.
I thought so.
We have, with our 26 precincts that we have in Saragordo County, it takes about 120 precinct election officials on election day. That's addition to about 12 precinct election officials that work as our absentee team, and then our office staff as well. And it can be difficult to recruit that many. We have a list of over 250 precinct election officials. What we saw with COVID impacting our communities, some of the changes, more focus on elections in general. We saw a lot of our precinct election officials say that they are not wanting or willing to work anymore. So that has really ramped up our recruitment and our retention efforts to try to get enough precinct election officials who are capable of working those long days, understanding the process, and able to assist voters in exercising their right to vote. So it can be a challenge. That's why if you look at our process from the county perspective for re-precincting, we're looking at the possibility of reducing the number of polling locations and precincts overall, just to hopefully help increase our availability of precinct election officials.
Any other comments? Thanks, Adam. You're doing a great job, seriously. I'm sorry I jumped over you there.
Not a problem.
You got more time here anyway, I think. Yeah, thanks. Chad, CEO, North Iowa Corridor. Welcome, Chad.
Thanks, Mayor, Council. Appreciate the time this evening. And just say it every time we deal with some TIF projects and go through the annual appropriations, but appreciate the way the city handles those. And I think that list is just a great testimony to the great successes of the past several years and what's to come and is coming right now. It's been phenomenal, and we really appreciate the partnership with the city and the business community that we have here. So, had a couple of quick updates. We had a really good strategic plan session review with the Vision North Iowa team here last week, just kind of looking back over the last 3 years of the planning implementation, where we've been, the way COVID kind of changed some things, and then really, honestly, we ended up spending the bulk of the 3 hours talking about opportunity and just how many of these positive things we've had and the good developments, and how do we continue to build on those. And that list just kept growing as we discussed, and whether it's talking with the Clear Lake Chamber, the Mason City Chamber, our group, the NIAC, the Papa John Center, just every one of our organizations working together right now, and seeing the successes that have come out of that was really an enjoyable time. And talking about some of those efforts going forward, we've been talking for a little while now about our marketing effort, recruitment efforts, trying to attract more people. So that's kicking off here in January with Amplified Digital. We're also working with Jurin Photography on some photo and video content that'll be a part of that as we try to make sure that we're sending people or showing people some attractive things as we work on that. Again, working on the healthcare, construction, manufacturing industries primarily, as those seem to be our largest need areas. But really looking forward to that effort. And then that rolls into the housing discussion, and a lot of big things happening on that front. Our organization is looking at spinning out a housing corporation. I've been working with Scott and City Manager Aaron Burnett over in Mason City on some plans on that, just as we look at the niche and the importance of housing and growing our housing base, both in single family, multifamily, filling a niche that isn't necessarily being met by developers, because the reality is with the prices the way they are right now, the land and development costs, it's hard to hit that middle ground and kind of those workforce attainable houses, whether that's that 250 to 300,000 range. We can get those 450 to 550 in houses, but it's been hard to get those lower ones, and really the apartments as well, which we saw the success we've had in Mason City with that. And I think that's a need that we really have here in Clear Lake, and something that we're going to be targeting with that effort as well. And then maybe some rehabilitation opportunities. We've seen more grant opportunities than ever in the housing sector, both state and federally. And that's something that we see being able to run through a housing corporation, a 501c3 that will get started up here, and potentially look at doing a staff position focused on that. Because as we look at economic development and our ability to grow as a community, that's the way to do it. We've struggled when we do bring in employers to find places for their people. And we hear from the school district, we hear from Mercy. Scott's got the best line on it. People that care for us, teach us, and protect us.
Yeah.
All right. So, we've really got to continue to do that. We've got a great situation in Clear Lake where the market continues to grow. But it prices a lot of people out of it. So we see the housing corp where it's not really a profit motivation, having some opportunities. And we've already had some really good discussions on some housing development opportunities.
Yeah, I just think, several of us have talked with Chad about that. I think that is really, as we look at the community, the number one need and concern in the community is housing opportunities in all forms. And we really struggle with that. Even as a city, when we hire some new employees, it's very difficult. We've had 3 recent positions, all bringing people in from outside the community. And generally things get on the market here and it doesn't last more than about an hour or 2. And, then there's many offers on the properties. And so there's just not much in the way of inventory. And so it does hold us back, I think, a lot as a community.
So really looking forward to that. I think, again, that's something that offers a great opportunity for our cities. And I think even in the rural communities that we haven't been as involved in some of the county, to assist in that, because I think, again, that's an opportunity area for a lot of our smaller towns in the county as well. So a lot of big things happening on that. Quick, I mentioned in the past, obviously everyone's aware of the vaccine mandate for employers over 100 and some other things. We had some discussions through the Iowa Chamber Alliance with Senator Grassley and Senator Ernst staffs just to talk about that and messaging how we can get resources to our businesses that are impacted by that, because you know, if those things all go through, there will be some significant impacts to employers, whether it's losing staff, as we've seen in many places, in a time when it's really hard to give up anybody. So just working on those things that we make sure we're providing the resources and assistance necessary as all those things move forward, and provide the right advice. There's a lot of conflicting information and a lot of things out there you can really get in the weeds on. So trying to do the best we can to get that information out to our employers. We touched on the Housing Corp. Several projects in the works right now. We had a really positive meeting. I think I can say some of this stuff, but we have had some positive meetings with Pritchard's and what they're looking to do in the former Team Quest facilities. You know, they've got 70 people already working in there and have plans for many more. Actually just received some information from them that'll allow us to move forward with some state incentive estimates with them, as well as I'll be sharing that with you, Scott. Literally got it on my way over to the meeting tonight. So looking forward to that and the next steps over there, and some of the things they're doing with electric vehicles, potential charging stations, and some other big ideas. So really excited stuff there. We continue to see really big opportunities in biofuels. I actually have 3 projects in the works right now that would be, again, significant job and high impact, high paying jobs for our region. Again, building on a sector that's really important to us here in North Iowa. So a lot of good things happening. We continue to get good leads and information from new and current businesses looking to do things here. So appreciate it.
Council, any questions for Chad? I just might add, Chad, you and I and Creighton and Justin Verhalen and Rebecca, as the representative from Alliant, had a very good meeting this morning on Alliant's present here, and it's just kind of a annual or biannual meeting that we have with Alliant, and the support that we get from there is very, very positive, I believe.
Very important partner, and I will just say, they've been continuing, every year they've gotten a little bit more aggressive in how they assist us on economic development projects, and we're getting more lead generation through them than we ever had before, so been very positive.
Thanks, Chad. Chad, is Stacy on the phone?
Nope. No.
Okay. Council, we need to set a date for a special city council meeting, which shall be on November 29th at 8:30 a.m. here in this room. Motion, please, to set that date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Gary, that we set a special city council meeting date for November 29th at 8:30 right here in the council chambers. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'll just throw out a couple things on that, Mayor, just to give you a quick prelude to the agenda on that. We'll have, of course, we talked earlier about that. We'll publish the notice for the public hearing on the proposal to re-precinct, so the wards, the precincts, that public hearing will be at 8:30 on the 29th. We'll also have, Creighton's got a couple financial reports to present, so have the road use tax report, the annual finance report, and then also we'll have Jason here for an update on East Main, and there's an agreement with the DOT that we have to approve on that, as well as a funding agreement with them. So, and then I'll also see if I can get an update for you to go over some of the concept plans for the park that we're planning there on South 15th Street. We're taking that really urbanized area there and converting it to a very significant amount of green space there on 15th Street. So,
Thanks. I call it positive community movement. And if you look at the stuff that we had on tonight's agenda and look at where we're headed down the road and what's happening in our community, we are definitely moving ahead very, very nicely and organized. And that doesn't just happen. We're all a part of it. All the people in this community are part of it. But right at the point, we've got Mr. Flory here, who keeps us all moving in that same direction, along with a lot of support from our Chamber of Commerce and other service groups within the community, and our people especially. So Thanks. Scott is here every weekend. I see that car out in front. And he's not just sitting in the back room playing chess, I'll tell you that. So,
Sometimes Gary comes in too.
Yeah.
so he's-
Just for the coffee, Scott.
if you'll let him in with a knock on the window there. So, anyway, good job. All right, at this point, I would like to,
We have a motion
We
on the
got
table,
to
Mayor,
vote on,
on the setting the date for the
yeah,
special.
I thought we did.
Yeah.
All right.
no,
There's
no,
been a lot of
no.
votes.
I know, just trying to help you.
Do we have a motion? Do we?
Do we got a motion?
We got a motion. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. So that meeting is at 8:30 on the 29th here in City Hall. All right, now I can go to the appointment of Mr. Kirk Kraft, 208 South 4th Street, to the city's Planning and Zoning Commission. And, very, very pleased to have Kirk to be able to serve on that. That's a committee, our board, that's really moving forward now, as you can see, with a lot of the stuff that just we had tonight, and there'll be more coming. And it's a very, very critical board. I'm very pleased to be able to appoint Kirk to that zoning commission. And now I'd like to ask your official appointment to it by a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by, where am I, Dana?
Yeah.
That we appoint Kirk Kraft to our Planning and Zoning Commission. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Thanks, Kirk, for your volunteering for that particular commission. Appreciate it. Wellness Center Executive Director Report, update on building construction. Wellness Center Director, Adam, welcome.
Council. Just to backtrack half a second, Creighton and I have an agreement, since he's been helping so much with the Wellness Center, I'll carry and pick up anything he needs to be picked up. So he doesn't have to worry about picking up 100 pounds. I'll pick it up for him. We've got that worked out. Update on the construction. Parking lot's been poured, hoping to get some paint in the next couple weeks. We've discussed that in length, so that'll be getting done. Interior painting is getting finished up. I was over there today, looking really good, smelling really strong, but it's definitely getting finished over there. Floors are getting cleaned up and prepped to get the flooring laid down, hopefully within the next week or so. On the wellness side, on the field house side, we're still waiting on that pesky cow wall, which is supposed to be in that first week of December. Good news is they will be bringing extra crews in to get that installed. So 3-week process will hopefully be brought down to about a week and a half once that's finally in. Again, that's on that south side, and then the west side windows as well. Locker rooms getting sealed up. Those lockers should be going in, I'm hoping by the end of this week. And like I said, the field house flooring will be the one that's going to be delayed a little bit because of that cow wall. And majorly, it's that hardwood court, very, very sensitive to climate, very, very sensitive to any type of moisture. So they want to make sure they're very, very careful before that. So still haven't got an exact opening date when they're going to be able to give us that date, but I'm pushing as much as we can. I think Schneider's doing a heck of a job, and they're working as hard as they can. It's just a matter of getting that cow wall in when we can. Moving on to our request for the sound system and the PA system. Again, this is a little bit of a delayed request, just in the fact that there has been some confusion up front within the contract. So kind of like how it took a long time for the networking and the internet process, this was kind of in the same boat. We wanted to make sure that we were very, very precise with what portion was ours, what portion was the schools, and what portion was actually in the contract. So I wanted to make sure everything was very defined before we went on with this. Obviously, this is a huge, huge, complex project with the sound system. In this project, nothing was included in the contract, so there's no conduit, no wiring, no type of devices whatsoever. So obviously, that's why this is a little bit on the higher end. That being said, the first bid that I got was with NGT, which was another company that I worked with the networking. That was up to the ends of $350,000. So this one is obviously a little bit better. Tyranny out of St. Paul is utilized in the school. Very, very easy to work with. And Again, this is something that is going to give us complete control of the facility, which we need. So PA system, horn systems, being able to communicate with each room individually, being able to control the sound and the volumes in each room individually, out in the field house area as well, having mic systems in each rooms. And again, including all the hardware, you can look on that map. There is quite a bit of hardware that's going around the track upstairs, in the fitness floor, in the aerobics rooms and the multi-purpose rooms, and then around the field house as well. And not only is the hardware included, obviously the integration of all these systems working together. So again, very, very complex project. That's why it's taken so long. Probably a little late on my end, but I wanted to make sure that we had it exactly right. And I think we definitely do.
So what's the schedule for this, Adam, if we get this approved?
Scheduling, yeah, we get approved. They've been on me the last couple weeks to hurry up and try to, move on it as quickly as we can, just because of devices. Speaking with Randy on the networking devices, some of that has even been delayed a little bit. But I think if we get this to the point where we get this approved and I can get the paperwork over to them tomorrow, I think that we're probably looking around that mid-January range to get it working and installed, and I think that'll be about the right time. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Just a comment for the good of the order here. Adam took me on a tour the other day, and the scope of this place is just mind-boggling. It, like my old grandfather might have said, it sure holds a lot of shelled corn, but that's not our purpose, of course. And to reach all the places that need to be reached and do all the communicating that's necessary, it's just a whole different ball game. So, there was some shock value when he told me the number, but I think the tour helped me understand what's going on here. Lots of different rooms, lots of different areas, and the need to be able to individually communicate with all those things. So I'll just throw that out.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Mike, on all that. And I think I'd say there's a lot of things that we're doing, but I describe these days very 21st century, very high-tech, very sophisticated. It's kind of not like the old field house gymnasium kind of thing that I had when I was even in school. But this is definitely positioning us for, again, the leading edge.
Yeah, it's not exactly a bullhorn and
no.
Just shouting across
come
the
a long way.
And, I remember in high school I ran the state indoor track meet in the Iowa field house, which was a dirt track. Of course, I ran at UNI on a dirt track indoors. So hopefully the people that get to run on this will really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And it's not a COW wall, but it's a KAL wall.
Absolutely.
And that's what, translucent glass and
Exactly.
wall material.
Yep,
so
exactly.
And it's all one piece. So,
Exactly. Yeah. I think it comes in different sections, but the same token, the biggest issue why it had been put off so long is they have to get the measurement exactly precise, otherwise it won't fit. So they had to kind of wait till everything around it, the structure was kind of set, and then that's why there was a little bit of delay with it. Unfortunately, the same thing happened with Clear Creek Elementary. Obviously, Doug G. wasn't too excited about having another cow wall, and unfortunately, kind of the same thing's happening again here. But we'll get it here, and then we'll get it rolling.
I think all the natural light, when that's done, that'll be
Yeah, that's
fantastic.
perfect,
It'll
perfect.
allow all that natural light in the facility.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we need an authorization here by the council and of the proposal from Tierney out of St. Paul for a wellness center and field house audio system. Did you want to talk about that too, or you're okay?
Yep, that's what it is. That's the sound system, the PA system.
Yeah, all right. $100,813.60. Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Bennett, that we approve the proposal from Tierney in St. Paul for the audio system. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Mr. Flory.
Just one item here, Mayor and Council. If you look in the packet, we, of course, been working on this for a little while with city staff, elected officials, the consultant RDG on this one, and Dick Leisure and I with LRI Graphics. So those are the big electrical panel boxes down there at City Beach, just off of South Shore Drive there. And so what we had kind of considered was putting like a screening around them. They're obviously not real attractive, and we've had a nice investment with the hardscaping and landscaping, all the things we've done at City Beach, but to try to improve those a little bit. We've looked at what some other communities have done in terms of these wraps that they put around the box, and Mr. Leisure's company, of course, does that, and so we've been working with him and RDG on some concepts. So the next page is the concept that RDG and us all came up with, and Chamber, and we really like that concept, and we'd like to go ahead and proceed with some, not only just here at City Beach, but also there's a proposal in the packet to do the one on North Shore Drive. If you're going into City Park, there's one of those transformer boxes there, maybe doing something with the Lady of the Lake, some imagery on that, but to try to really, I hate to use that overphrased statement, put lipstick on a pig, but try to make these look a little bit better than what they look like. And I think, we've got one right out here at the office at City Hall, but, we would like to probably take that one on at some point. But a lot of communities have, invested in these things and they make those boxes look a whole lot better. And I think they're pretty cost effective versus the actual construction of screening material that would go around it. So, and Leisure's done a nice job on some of the other stuff for us. So, we would like to proceed with the electrical box wraps there at City Beach, and then also that smaller one there on North Shore and First Avenue North as you're heading right into City Park there, with probably something along the lines of the Lady of the Lake graphic on that one.
Any comments, questions for Scott? This graphic not appearing, then I'll ask for a motion to authorize the work with LRI Graphics with regard to the City Beach utility box artwork wrap in the amount of $6,769.22.
And I just add that's for both of them, both wraps, one at City Beach and then the one at North Shore Drive. That includes both.
That quote covers both?
Yep, covers both.
Right. That's for both.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Mike, that we approve that authorization of LRI Graphics. Is there any, with LRI Graphics, is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Any other business tonight?